Yeah, remember General Grant? Yeah, so while Sherman is moving through Georgia, Grant is chasing Lee around through Virginia. Several battles are fought with staggering casualties. Both sides are just, I'm like, we can recruit as many as we need. We have draft laws. They're going nuts on each other. Eventually, Grant traps Lee at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, and this is where the war is officially going to end. So leave that up there for a moment for those of you using the guided note sheet. April 9th, 1865, at Appomattox, Virginia, Lee surrenders to the Union and General Ulysses S. Grant. The soldiers are allowed to return home to rebuild. And soldiers are allowed to return home to rebuild. Uh, Famously, Lincoln actually said that the Confederates should be able to return to their homes to go ahead and, reestablish their lives. He did not want to have further fighting. He was against having a war in the first place. He just wanted to keep the Union together. So the soldiers are told they're allowed to return home, and you can see these guys shake hands. They leave on as good a terms as you can after a situation like that. Unfortunately, hatred does remain on both sides, just from the common man and from many soldiers that are out there. General Lee's plantation is actually turned into a cemetery for Union soldiers. Today, it's known as Arlington Cemetery. It's in Arlington, Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C., and it's our primary national cemetery where many of the war dead are buried and have been since the Civil War. So Lee is not able to return home. 5 days after the surrender at Appomattox, a bunch of angry Confederate soldiers hatch a plan. They want to go ahead and stab the Secretary of State. They are successful with that. They have a plan to kidnap the vice president and attack him, but that plan actually failed. And then the third part of the plan, you probably are familiar with. President Lincoln is assassinated. He's shot by Confederate John Wilkes Booth while watching a play. Booth was an actor. He was known in the D.C. area, and so he would have had fairly easy access to Ford's Theater where Lincoln was shot because he was a known face around the area. So people would have just thought that he was coming in to run lines or maybe help out with the current play that was playing, Our American Cousin. But it turns out, in fact, he was there to kill the president and was expecting that the president was actually going to be there with a few other notable persons. But it turns out that they were unable to make it. So really, Booth just killed Lincoln, ran out, jumped out of the presidential balcony, landed on the stage, ran out the back of the theater, and then eventually went and hid in a barn. Yeah, legend has it that the doctor who reset Booth's broken leg was actually named Dr. Mudd, and that is where the phrase "your name is Mudd" comes from, according to legend. It was Dr. Mudd who reset Booth's leg, but we don't know that it was actually that's where that phrase comes from. I'm going to stop this section here, and then we'll review the final overview of the Civil War in just a moment.